Welcome back to eSIM Studios. So it's always interesting to me to kind of look behind the curtain, see what some of these companies are planning for. Now, we all know that the Samsung Unpacked event for their new foldables for the year 2026 is just a couple of days away on July 22nd. We're getting a bunch of devices. We're getting the Z Flip 8, Z Fold 8, Z Fold 8 Ultra. I believe we're getting some watches, possibly a tablet. I don't know where and if Samsung is going to release the Samsung Galaxy Tab S12. We're getting close. I think it got FCC certification, so we might have a ton of devices launched by Samsung here in the next couple of days. But I want to take a look at what Samsung is projecting to sale. Now, is number wise. Now, these are numbers that were leaked. These are internal documents as far as what Samsung thinks they're going to sell per device. So there's a good article on 9 to 5 Google that explains all of this, explains their strategy, and I want to know if you kind of align with this theory because I'm kind of don't. Now, I know in the past few years, the Z Flip series has been their highest selling foldable. Now, I think that's simply because it's just the cheapest option, to be quite honest with you. But it looks like we might have a change in strategy. So I'm going to pull up this article here, and it shows an interesting tidbit, a little information here. Here's the 9 to 5 Google article titled Samsung is betting big that you'll want the wide Galaxy Z Fold 8 report details. So there's a new report that reveals Samsung's plans for the Z Fold 8 series and the Z Flip 8, with the company betting big on its new wide foldable. So take a look at some of these numbers. So this is a leaked, I'm going to say document, but leaked information from within. So this is what Samsung is guessing they're going to sell. And Samsung has essentially produced these units. So obviously they have not been launched yet, but Samsung has produced these numbers for these devices at this moment. So it's stating that the Z Fold 8, the wide body, the wide version, remember, it's just going to be called officially Z Fold 8, but you'll hear me and some other people put wide on the end just to clarify it, because like all the other tech companies, they love to change their names on, on everything. It just makes it more difficult for us. Okay, so on the wide body, on the Z Fold 8 wide, they're expecting to sell 2.8 million units of the wide body. Now, this is worldwide. This is not just in the US. This is worldwide. Now, with the Ultra model, the Z Fold 8 Ultra, which looks and or resembles the last year's Z Fold 7. So the more expensive unit, 2 million of them. And then they've produced in the manufacturing plant with the Z Flip 8 1.5 million units. Now, I don't know. There's got to be some change in strategy because, again, in the past, they've sold more flips than any other foldable. And again, probably comes down to price. It's the cheapest one. Now, this year, the prices are going to change, but in the past, the Flip series typically started at $1,000 and goes up from there depending on the storage that you choose. Now, prices are expected to rise, I think, to, I don't know, probably, look, we don't know yet, but I'm going to guess it's $1,300. That's what I'm guessing, $1,299, maybe $1,199, but it's gonna go up 100, $200. So you're looking at $1,200 for the Flip series. For the Fold 8, the wide body, that's going to be the mid-priced foldable, probably starting out at, I don't know, 16, 1700, potentially 1800. I'm assuming it's going to be higher. It's going to be one of your higher guesses than lower guesses. And then you're going to have the Ultra, which is at the very least going to start at like $2,000. And then depending on what storage variant you get, it's going to go closer to $3,000. So I would almost flip those numbers. So if I had to guess, so if you gave me three numbers, 2.8 million, 2 million, and 1.5 million, here's what I would guess they're going to sell. I would sell the 2.8 million, their highest selling unit would go to the Z Flip 8. I would guess the 2 million units would go to the Z Fold 8 wide. And then I would guess the 1.5 million units are going to end up being the Z Fold 8 Ultra. Majority of my decision making, of my guessing, just comes down to price. It's price determines a lot when you purchase, whether it's a phone, whether it's a car, whether it's a new webcam, a mouse, a microphone. That's like the number one determining factor in literally everything you buy. So I don't know what they're thinking here. I would think their Ultra model probably would be their least sold model, the Ultra model, simply because obviously the price. But two, I think it's like people are kind of over the traditional style books foldable. You see what I'm saying? Like there's nothing new here with this Z Fold 8 Ultra. It looks essentially exactly like the Z Fold 7 with no real upgrade. Now, they get the battery a little bigger, get a new processor, but okay, like there's nothing special there. Now, the model that probably piques most people's interest and the one you're going to see Samsung advertise the most is this new Z Fold 8 wide. Why is that? Well, because one, it's kind of it's one of a kind, and two, that's the model that they're going to compete against the new iPhone Ultra. So iPhone is coming out with a foldable. I'm sure if you're not, but aware, Apple's going to be putting one out in September that looks in models almost exactly the same dimensions as the Z Fold 8 wide. So you're going to see that on a lot of commercials. And then I would think Samsung would market somewhat the Flip series, since that is typically their most popular unit. So I don't know. I think they got these numbers flip flopped. It'll be interesting to see like 6 months from now, kind of where this goes. Nobody knows, but those numbers seem small, no? Worldwide. Now get this, Apple is planning to sell a gazillion iPhone Ultras. And let me show you what I'm talking about. So there's another article, and I'll link these down below, on WCCF Tech. Now, Apple, you rarely, well, I don't say rarely, but it's not that often that you see sales projections leaked from inside of Apple. But here is a very, very clever way to kind of see how much they're expecting to sell from suppliers. So Apple put in a huge order for brand new vapor chambers for the upcoming iPhone 18 Pro, 18 Pro Max, and iPhone Ultra. Those are the three devices Apple's going to sell this upcoming September. Remember, the base models, they have a staggered release now where in September you're getting the Pros and the Ultras, the foldable, and then 6 months from now or 6 months from September, you're going to be getting the base models. So one of the suppliers leaked the number of vapor chambers that they sold to Apple, and 10 million units of a very specific vapor chamber went for the iPhone Ultra mold. So here it says, do note that Apple is reportedly gunning for a production volume of around 10 million units. So Apple has ordered 10 million vapor chambers from this part supplier. Now, the vapor chamber that goes in the iPhone Ultra is not the same one that goes in the 18 Pro or the 18 Pro Max. These vapor chambers have to be very specifically molded, and they have very specific dimensions. So this is a very specific part. And this supplier has said, hey, we've got an order for 10 million vapor chamber units for the iPhone Ultra. 10 million. So that just goes to show, and that's just to start off. Look, these numbers from Samsung, these projected sales, these numbers from Apple's part suppliers, These are just starting out, right? And as you go on, you can modify, manipulate your production while they're in rotation, while they're up for sale. Meaning, okay, so Samsung is projected to sell 2.8 million units of the Z Fold 8 wide. Well, if there's a big demand for that, and if it looks like they're creeping up on 2 million units sold, but you're 6 months into production, well, you're probably going to sell more than 800,000 more in the last 6 months. So they can ramp up production while sales are ongoing. Same thing with Apple. Just because they pre-ordered 10 million units for the iPhone Ultra, well, what if they sell, what if Apple's coming up on 8 million units sold and they've only been for sale for 3 months? Well, they can go back to the part supplier and say, hey, we need 8 more million, hurry up. So look, when it comes down to sales, I think Samsung, and I've mentioned this before, I think Samsung's going to be shocked. I think they're going to be shocked at how many few numbers of these they're going to sell. Now, where we end up, nobody knows, but those numbers do seem low. No, I mean, this is worldwide. And now, again, this is just for starting out, but it's like, here's the gamble for Samsung or for any company. How many do you put in production before they actually go for sale? Because you don't want to sell, you don't want to produce, way too many, and then you have all this stock. You have a stockpile of Z Fold 8 Ys, but you haven't sold nearly as many as you thought. So now you got to put them up for sale, have huge, massive sales. Well, you're going to lose money, right? And then it goes the other way, where you don't want to make too few of them, and then, oh crap, we're about to sell out. Call the parts, we got to produce a whole bunch more. So there's this fine line. And look, Samsung, Apple, nothing, Google, they hire people just for this to kind of calculate how much they need to start off with. And of course, your past sales plays into this. There's a lot of factors that play into this, but it'll be interesting to see where this goes. I think Apple is going to blow away the Samsung foldable sales. Let's be honest. Let's look. eSIM Studios, we're all about honesty here. Let's be honest. Apple is going to blow away Samsung foldable sales. You can probably combine all the foldables from Samsung. So combine the Z Fold 8, Z Fold 8 Ultra, and Z Flip 8. Combine all those sales together. It won't even come close to the sales of one Apple iPhone Ultra. The Apple fanboys, all these, trust me, in September, you're going to see people's heads explode with this iPhone Ultra, and it is ugly as hell. It's a disgustingly looking phone, but look, people, this is a new thing for Apple users, right? They're not used to foldables like us Android users, right? Us Android users are like, a foldable? We've had that for like 8 years now. It's like, whatever. But, that goes into Apple's playbook, and they're going to definitely run with that. Their first foldable, and they're going to sell a gazillion of them. Now, getting into the Apple iPhone Ultra, at the moment, it looks like just the white one is going to be available at launch. They are going to have the black one up for sale, but the black model is about a month behind in production from the white model. So they had some production issues, some manufacturing issues getting this rolling. And the black one is, I believe, like I said, about 4 to 5 weeks behind schedule. So they'll have them up for sale. But it'll say when you go to order the black iPhone Ultra, it'll automatically say from when the first second they go for sale, it's going to say like, I don't know, 4 to 6 week delay. People are going to be like, damn, that's popular. Well, no, actually they're behind on production. But the white one should be up for sale. Well, that'll probably go out of stock pretty quick. But I plan on getting a white Z Flip 8. Many of my subscribers know I'm not a foldable fan per se. If I did have to choose a book style foldable, it definitely would be the wide, the Z Fold 8. And I think I mentioned in a community post a few days ago, I think I might try it. Now, I'm going to wait till the prices go down. I'll probably, wait 6 months into the release to find one, find a good one for sale and probably give it a try. But I love the flips. Always have, always will. I know some people look at me side-eyed like, you like the flips? Yeah, I like the flips. I've purchased one every single year at launch, so I'll just whatever. Go ahead and make it an eighth year in a row. But let me know what you think about these sales numbers. Do you think they look about right? Because again, I don't think these are. I don't know. I saw these numbers and I was like, what? Huh? I had to do a double take. I was like, wait a second. Let me know what you think. Let me know out of these. I want to know a couple things. Please comment. I really want your input. Out of these three, which one do you think is going to sell the most out of the Samsung foldables? The Flip, the Ultra, or the wide body? And then I want to come back to this video. I'm going to mark this one. I want to come back to this video maybe a year from now. I want to guess, I want you to guess how many iPhone Ultras, because those numbers will at some point become, I guess, not necessarily official, but we'll get a good rounded number, a good estimate of just how many iPhone Ultras that Apple is going to sell. How many do you think they're going to sell within a fiscal year? Meaning like from September 2026 to September 2027, 20 million, 25 million. Now remember, the iPhone Ultra is going to be probably starting out at 2,200, something like that, all the way up to 3 grand. How many do you think they're going to sell? So I'm going to put this on record. I think they're going to sell 22 million. 22 million is my number for the iPhone Ultra for a whole year being up for sale worldwide. And then I think I told you my estimates on here. I think that Samsung's going to sell more Flip 8s than I think the Z Fold 8 will come in second, the wide body, and then I think the Z Fold 8 Ultra will come in third. So let me know what you think. Listen, if you're interested in any of these devices, stay tuned to the channel. We're going to go live on Wednesday. It's on Samsung Galaxy Unpacked Day. We're going to break down all the different models, all the different colors, all the different storage options, all the different prices, and where the best place to buy them would be. Is it from Best Buy? Is it from Amazon? Is it from T-Mobile, AT&T? Is it from Samsung's website? Stay tuned because you are going to want to know the trade-in values. And that's what I love to break down that stuff. Well, I go over everything. Viewers of my channel know I take a deep dive into breaking down what your best options are and where you can go get you the very best deal, and we will have that for you. So subscribe to the channel so you do not miss anything. eSIM Studios. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.